Hey there guys, and welcome back to the channel. Mark here with another Star Wars Unlimited video for you. Now, if you're new here to the channel, make sure that you like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you know when we post new videos. I try to do a different deck video pretty much every week featuring something I am playing in a Discord league. For this Discord league, we played 4 weeks of the opening rounds, playing either Heroism or Villainy, our choice. And then we were able to swap to something new. I played 4 different variations of Luke and went 3-1, winning with Luke Red, Luke Yellow, and Luke Green, but losing with Luke Blue. This week I swapped after 4 weeks, and I am playing Vader and 4 different variations of Vader over the next 4 weeks until we cut to that, I don't know, top 4, top 8, whatever it is that the Discord League is cutting to. And this week, I decided to tackle and take on Vader Red. So let's go ahead and pull the deck up here. I'll take you on a quick tour of it. Now, being totally honest with you, I didn't have a ton of time to work on the deck this week, so I had to kind of throw this one together. It ended up being really successful. We went 2-0 against a Kylo Green deck, which is actually kind of a rampy Kylo deck. It was a lot like, it was built very similar to a Vader Green deck with things like your Emperor Palpatine's Return and your Palpatines and your Vaders, and I think it also was running Mauls, so it was playing very similar to a Vader Green ramp deck, but it was playing that Kylo to flip a little bit earlier and be able to get a little bit more aggressive early flip board presence to try to control the game from the very beginning. We ended up being really successful against it. So you can see here we are running Darth Vader. He flips on 7 as a 5/8 when he attacks. He deals 2 damage to a unit. And then on his base side, he can exhaust for 1. If you've played a villainy unit, a black unit this phase, deal 1 damage to a ground unit and 1 damage to a base. You can damage your own ground units with this. Then I'm also running Tarkin Town, the 25 health base with the epic action, deal 3 damage to a damaged non-leader unit. So really works well in the early game with things like Vader's ping to be able to ping something and then finish it off with Tarkin Town. Now, I was surprised at how well this deck worked. It sort of like crippled my opponent's hand and deck and simultaneously just point and click removed everything he put on the board. Running 3 copies of Death Star Stormtrooper for early presence, 3 Force Throws because we're running lots of Force units in this deck, 3 copies of Daring Raid as well. Those came in clutch, just like a little bit of extra ping to remove stuff. This is a lot of just keeping the board clean. 3 copies of Force Choke, more of that. We're actually trying to win in the space lane in this deck, and so Kylo's Tie Silencer, 3 copies. 3 copies of Fifth Brother to be able to use these next card, 2 copies of Fallen Lightsaber on, also to be able to enable our 3 copies of Force Throw, 3 copies of Open Fire, more removal, 3 copies of Punishing One, 2 copies of Disabling Fang Fighter to deal with any sort of like pesky upgrades that might come out, especially if someone wants to take our unit that's been equipped with Fallen Lightsaber with something, say, like Treacherous. 3 copies of Imperial Interceptor to compete for the space lane, 3 copies of Aggression, 3 of Pillage, 2 copies of Seventh Sister, mostly again for the later games, for synergies, 3 copies of Ruthless Raider, these are all pretty familiar, 3 copies of Wild Rancor. Now, this card's really interesting, a 6 resource, 6/8 with Overwhelm that when it comes into play deals 2 damage to all other ground units. So it allows us to work with Wild Rancor to ping stuff off. A 6 resource, 6/8 is a humongous body, giving it Overwhelm as well. This thing's beefy, hard to deal with, and can help you clean up anything that you're having trouble with in that ground lane if it's getting out of hand for you and you're just trying to slow it down. 3 copies of Emperor Palpatine and 2 copies at the top end of Crate Dragon. So you can kind of see this deck is sort of a mid-rangey deck that's going to really amp up things in the space lane between your Tie Silencer, your Punishing Ones, your Interceptors, your Ruthless Raiders, and then it's going to just point and click, remove a lot of stuff with things like Daring Raid, Force Throw, Force Choke, Open Fire, Aggression, lots of abilities, even all the way up to your Emperor Palpatine. Lots of abilities to remove stuff, lots of abilities to ping stuff. Let's go and take it for a little tour over on Karabas, see if we can't win a couple of games with it. I've had a lot of fun with this deck. It was actually way more effective than I thought it was. I was pretty sure that the Mono Vader deck was probably going to lose. It ended up going quite well and was able to deal with the board a lot better than I thought it was going to be able to. In fact, both games I'd pretty much won even before I got to the point of being able to flip Vader, and he was just kind of icing on the cake because my opponent couldn't deal with him. Once again, let's go ahead and throw it up on Karabas, see if we can't win a couple games and showcase what this deck can do. Okay, guys, here we are against a Kira Green deck. We did get the opportunity to go first. We want the mulligan here. I think we can throw away one of these Force Throws. You know, or force chokes. On the other hand, we don't really have a lot to get aggressive anywhere with, and that's a little bit discouraging. So maybe we will take the redraw here. Okay, that's a little bit better, coming in with the Kylo TIE Silencer in hand. Let's resource this. We don't need 2 Ruthless Raiders in hand, and I think we can hold off and wait to see the Palpatine later on. So we'll go ahead and resource that. Now, what I recognize, it's very common that for this deck to have the Red 4, or Inferno 4, I think it is, to be able to just deal with our, there it is, yep, the Inferno 4, to be able to deal with our early game in the space lane. That's okay with us. We're just going to go ahead and claim initiative here. Does look like Carabast is running a little bit slowly this morning. That's going to be okay. I think the Daring Raid might be important to keep here, because it might let us clean something up, because we're not playing anything this round. So I think in this case, we're just going to resource the Force Choke here, and we're going to get 3 damage on our opponent's base right at the beginning, and kind of get an idea from our opponent. Let's see what they want to do. Oh, he's going to deal the damage. He wants to keep this alive. That's interesting. Let's go ahead and just remove that from him so that he can't keep it alive. Our opponent then going to take a look at a couple of cards from his deck. That's totally fine. Let's go ahead and claim initiative. Not a really good start here for us, because we just really didn't have the aggression that we needed. There's some aggressive card. That's a nice aggressive card. So maybe we go ahead and resource the 5th brother so that we can play the punishing one. And then we just try to continue just asserting some dominance in this lane over here. There is a pretty good chance if he activates this, we may just remove this on our turn. We'll see. Let's go ahead and deal the damage there. And just to avoid him drawing too many other cards, he can flip this next round. Our opponent's going to play Resupply. We can claim initiative here, but I don't think we need to. I think we're okay just to remove this. We don't want to give him any more cards in hand than he already has. Okay, he is going to just go ahead and flip. We can go ahead and take initiative here, let him get the 4 damage in. We can easily remove this now, because we can just deal 4 damage to a unit, also draw a card. I think in this case, we can just resource away the Daring Raid. I don't think we're going to need it. I think we're going to go ahead and get an attack in here. And then we will ready up our punishing one. Oh, okay. Yep, looks like he's going to heal his base. And, yep, remove our unit. Let's go ahead and we are going to deal damage and go ahead and draw a card. So we'll draw a card and get rid of his Kira. That's probably his turn as well. We'll also pass. Going into turn 6, but we've already dealt with his Kira, which puts us in a pretty good spot. He does have initiative here. It is his turn 7, so he could just play the Vader out here. Okay, that's kind of what I expected, though. I kind of expected him just to pass. Let's just put out the Ruthless Raider, see what my opponent wants to do. We don't have the ability to deal with a lot of really big stuff. I fully expected that he probably had Vader in hand in this scenario, and he really wanted for me to play anything so that then he could Vader, which is why instead of going for the Wild Rancor, we went with the Ruthless Raider. The Wild Rancor wouldn't have been terrible, but the Ruthless Raider is probably just a little bit better for us here. We're going to 7 resources next round, and there's the Vader. Yep, we kind of knew that was coming. He's going to go try to pull something out of his graveyard here. We can play the Wild Rancor at the beginning of next round now. Okay, there we go. Yep, goes ahead and pulls that out. Let's go ahead and just claim initiative. Okay, now with this in hand, the Fallen Lightsaber gives us kind of an interesting course of action to take, because now we can take out Vader, put on the Fallen Lightsaber. So I think we're actually going to get rid of the Wild Rancor here, and we're going to play the Imperial Interceptor to remove the Black Sun Starfighter, sort of right here in the beginning, and see what my opponent wants to do. We could get hit with, say, a Super Laser Blast here. I'd be totally fine with getting hit with a Super Laser Blast here, though. That wouldn't bother me one bit. If he plays something else, you know, I think that at the very least he probably attacks in and gets the 5 points of damage here. This puts him in a bad situation because he really doesn't want to play anything, but he also doesn't want to attack with his Vader yet. Oh, okay, interesting. The Grit Bounty character here. This just gives us full reign to deal some more damage to his base and apply pressure from the space lane. And we're sitting back here happy as can be. He really wants to save this. He's going to give Vader the shield here. He definitely wants to save this. And At 6, he can still just flat out remove our Vader. We're still going to go ahead and deploy the Vader anyway, and just kind of see what my opponent wants to do. He could just get like the Hero's Fall here and get rid of the Vader. He's going to attack in. We're going to go ahead and equip the Fallen Lightsaber to Vader here, which is going to enable us to just deal 3 damage to his board, 8 damage to his base. I think he's kind of in a position here where he's not so far behind that he's in trouble yet, but he's definitely not in a good position. And yeah, we just want to deal that damage there 100% of the time. If we're going to deal 2 damage to something, let's go ahead and deal it to the Gideon here. We've got him at 16. I would imagine, yep, our opponent just going to claim initiative here, which is totally fine. We want stuff that keeps us in space lane and keeps us dealing damage as well. At the same time, a lot of this stuff is good. I think we just get rid of the 7th sister in this scenario. We definitely have our opponent sort of on the fence. He's not in the ideal situation. He doesn't really want to super laser blast here because it just puts 2 damage on his base and gives me full reign of the board. At the same time, I guess he could theoretically use Avenger here to make me sacrifice something. Okay, he's going to just make an opening. That's a really interesting choice. He's going to recover 2 health there. Should be my play. And we'll take that opportunity 100% of the time to attack his base and just remove that. And just say, by all means, go ahead and make an opening. You give me the full reign to deal 8 points of damage here. We feel perfectly good about that. He didn't have a way to remove this in 1 hit. He now does. Okay, Power of the Dark Side. I mean, removing the Vader here just wins us the game, right? We just win the game with the remove of the Vader. There we go. Able to put out the pressure there with Vader Red against Kira Green. Game went really well. Let's go ahead and try to get into another one and see if we can't get another win. Okay, guys, our second game here is against something a little bit more off the beaten path than the Kira deck. We're going to be against the Cassian Blue deck, which should be really interesting. I mean, this deck could be hard. It's going to have a lot of control. We are, in this case, I don't think we're going to take a mulligan here. I think we're just going to keep this hand. Cassian does come in as a 4/6. It's been a very long time since I've been up against Cassian. He does come in a turn before me. Need to keep that in mind. I think in this case, we're going to get rid of the Palpatine, and I think we're going... The Cassian very frequently plays a lot of stuff in this lane, but Blue, I just don't think that he will. So we're going to go ahead and just bank on the fact that he's not going to, and drop out our Imperial Interceptor. We're going to go ahead and play the Death Star Stormtrooper. Okay, immediately playing stuff into that lane. We can actually just claim initiative here. We're not too worried because we do have Punishing One to be able to deal with this. You know, I'd love to keep Force Throw, but in this case, we don't have any Force units on board. We just need to be conscious and aware of that. I think we go ahead and just play the Punishing One out here and see what our opponent wants to do. The Restored Arc kind of puts him in a situation where he wants to heal, but he wants to wait until I attack first, and he doesn't want to play anything down because he doesn't want my Stormtrooper to be able to trade up as a 1-drop into something from him. And so puts my opponent in a slightly more awkward situation here by playing the Punishing One before attacking with the Stormtrooper. Okay, my opponent is just going to play out that. That's fine with me. We'll take the 3 damage on base. Yeah, we'll let him get that 1 point of healing. We're going to go ahead and claim initiative here. Now, if we attack in here, we do put ourselves in a little bit of a situation. So we have the double aggression in hand. I think we want to use one of these this turn. Exactly which one and in what order, I'm not 100% sure yet. I'm thinking let's go ahead and get rid of the Stormtrooper here. I think what we're going to do is we are going to open with an attack with the Stormtrooper and deal 3 damage to his base. Oh, okay. That's interesting. I can deal 4 damage to a unit and ready another unit. So let's do that. Let's... ready a unit and deal damage. So let's go ahead and choose a unit to ready. We'll ready him, and we'll deal 4 damage here and just get rid of this guy who is blocking us up. Our opponent's going to attack in. We're going to take Punishing One directly into that and just remove it. We don't have the resources or the ability to use Vader's ability here, which would have been great, to be honest with you. I think in this case, we're going to keep the Crate Dragon. It does seem like this is more of a Space Lane deck. We probably want to get an Open Fire and a Kylo's TIE Silencer out this round. So let's go ahead and get rid of the TIE Silencer. Yeah, it could be an aggression round. It could be a Kylo and Vader ability turn. Oh, interesting. Let's wait and see what our opponent does here. Let's wait and see what our opponent does here. I am really curious to see what his choice is going to be. Okay, he's going full-on aggressive here. So, with this full-on aggressive strategy, we have a couple of options here. We can attack in and remove this with this, and then play the TIE Silencer. We can deal 3 to the base, 4 to this, ready this, deal another 3 to the base, and I guess we wouldn't remove that. I think the best option for us here is let's go ahead and get rid of this. Oh, you know what? Let's undo that, rather. Undo. Mistakes were made. We're going to do this instead, because aggression can actually remove upgrades. So let's defeat upgrades, and let's deal damage, both. So let's choose a unit to defeat an upgrade from. We're going to defeat this, and then we're going to defeat this, and then we're going to deal the damage to it and remove it from the board. He's definitely playing sort of a full face deck here, Space Lane deck, which is interesting. I just did not think that that's what this deck would be, but it is. This does remove my thing, but I think that's okay in this scenario. Let's just go ahead and get it removed. Let our opponent claim initiative here, and we'll go ahead and pass. Now, he is coming down this round. That's something that we need to be aware of. We could theoretically pillage him this turn, but I don't think that... I think pillage is probably just too slow for us. I am blown away by how aggressive this deck is. We're going to play the TIE Silencer because it's going to let us remove the Wing Leader. He hasn't dealt 3 damage to me, really, like ever, which is important. Okay. He's just going to get the Cassian out there. I think in this case, we are chucking our Stormtrooper into him. We'll let him take the 4 damage. He's going to heal. This is a really aggressive strategy here. We'll take that out. He's gone. We will then deal damage and ping this and remove it. He plays another. We're going to claim initiative. And next turn, we can get Vader out. And we can also force throw, play a couple of other things. So let's go ahead and get rid of the 5th brother. Definitely in a bit of a precarious situation here. Let's go ahead and just remove that. He's dealt a lot more damage to me than I honestly expected him to. We can always discard the Crate Dragon, but the thing is like, we have him at 10. We are stabilizing. We have the Vader in hand. We can flip the Vader this turn. We have the 7th sister in hand. We have the Force Throw in hand. Like, we have a lot of really good options. Let's go ahead. You know what? We can deal damage with Vader, so let's undo that instead. Let's go ahead and just play the 7th sister, because I think what we're going to do this turn is we're going to ping something and remove it with Tarkin Town, because we haven't used the Tarkin Town yet. He is going to pass. Interesting. Let's go ahead and deal damage to this. He's going to pass again. Let's go ahead and remove this. If my opponent passes again, we take initiative. Okay, that's fine. I think that's a mistake. He just gives us full reign on the board. There's really nothing left that he can do here against us. We will go ahead and get rid of Crate Dragon here. I know that we're really close to playing it, and there it is, my friends. We end up winning game 2 against an aggressive list there. So we won against a really strong control list, and then we won against an aggressive list, both games, back-to-back. Feels so good. I really like this. I feel like this is the meta wrecker in some ways, like a silent killer, the Vader Red deck. It has the discard synergies. It has the direct damage abilities. It can put on a ton of pressure. It has so much force in Space Lane. It has the end game of both Vader and also the Crate Dragon. Let me know what you would change in this deck, if there's anything that you would change. I've really enjoyed it. Thought it was a ton of fun to play. So let me know what you think in the comments below. And once again, be sure to like, follow, and hit the bell icon so you know when we put out more videos. I try to put out a deck video every single Wednesday. Next week will be my next iteration of Vader, and I'll see you in that one.